Dating after divorce. Dating after divorce is not something that is very simple to do, especially when you do have children. For my example, I was married for 10 years of my life, and when you marry somebody, you never go with the mindset that you're going to divorce that person someday, right? You have a family, you have your life together, careers working fine, and then something along the way happens and just pretty much ruins everything or whatever that reason may be that people go their separate ways. So, one of the things that is very difficult to do is the fact that when people divorce, they have a sense of loss, as they should, because every friendship, every family member, every love life that we lose, we it's like losing part of ourselves, and it takes time to recover. Now, for example, putting myself out there, when I first got divorced, I didn't know what to do because my daughter at that time was like 6 years old, and I had no idea how was it going to work for me to date, especially being a single parent and thinking, okay, I'm not trying to find someone to replace her father because she does have a father that loves her and takes care of her and just cares a lot for her. But at the same time, it's kind of sad to just think about what is going to happen now, because I believe that it's harder for women to get back out there when it comes to after being divorced and being newly single. It's easier for men, in my opinion, because unless let's fix that, unless they have a child in their custody, it's going to be difficult for them today because they have nobody else to, take care of their child or whatever. But I am talking in the woman's perspective. So let's talk about women in this segment. So for me, my personal experience, knowing that I have a little girl and knowing that I was newly single, I didn't know how it was going to be for me. I didn't know if I can trust the guy anymore, knowing how things are nowadays. And it's scary to get yourself out there because you're so used to being with a person. In my example, it was 10 years that I was with this person. So it was hard to adjust and go back into some sense of normalcy, especially because, you have a child now. So you're a mom. And you think, maybe a guy would not take me serious. They might think, oh, she's a single mom. I don't want no baggage, whatever. But it's not exactly what I was looking for because, like I said, my child have her dad, good father to her and everything. So it was easy in that sense that, I knew she was not going to lose that connection with her dad. It was that her dad and I were not going to be the same again. So that was an adjustment for the child, especially when you try to put yourself out there and you got to introduce your child, if only the relationship is serious, to introduce your child to somebody new. That can be a little bit difficult in that sense. Um, for me, it was hard. I worked hard because you had to start all over. Because when I was 21 years old at that time. I was a mom at 22. I have moved to another state and have and I grew up somewhere else. So it was an adjustment. I had no family, no friends, no nobody. So it was kind of hard to be like, okay, it's gonna be easy to put myself out there to date, especially, you know, when I'm by myself and I don't have any family or any friends that I can trust and be like with my child. And having to let go of that relationship can be quite difficult in a sense. So people can go through the motions because it's hard. All I can tell it is though, before you put yourself out there, you got to remember that you need some time to heal. Yes, people have different ways to heal. In my case, I needed to be alone for a while. It was so painful, so excruciating because I was in a whole new place, have to start all over again and do things on my own. So that was different, especially when having to have my child find childcare because I needed to, you know, find a full-time job instead of a part-time job like I used to have because now I have a child and I don't have a that man in the house that helps with the bills, whatever. So you're gonna have to become independent on your own. So we become a little bit more closed up when it comes to love because we were hurt. If it was in that case us that got hurt in that marriage and hence ended up in divorce. So it's hard to put yourself out there when you are recently divorced. It is a process. You mourn a loss, and you keep putting expectations. Okay, so you kind of think, okay, okay, I need this and this and that, which is not bad to have your own expectations of what you want. And having high expectations sometimes can lead a person being single for a long time. And I was. Um, After my daughter started going to childcare and I was working, I used to see my friends wanting to go out. I didn't want to go out first, and then I started going out. But every time a person would approach me, I wouldn't be, easy to approach. And it was just hard to just open up to someone. So the whole process of dating after divorce can be a difficult one. It is a journey, but it can be doable. You just have to give a little bit of vulnerability. Not the whole vulnerability, not the 100%, but you want to get to know a person. And I say, if you are not completely healed, there's no point on dating after divorce because then the person who comes into your life may pay the consequences of that. You don't want to rebound if you want to be happy again and you want to be able to, probably marry someday, have someone to share your life with and everything. So it is hard. You have to be really careful with your heart. You have to be picky who you choose to date. I know it might sound a little shallow, but it's the truth. You have to be picky because we cannot just settle just for anything. And this goes for men too. Men cannot just settle just for any woman just after divorce. But in this case, I'm talking about women particularly. So putting yourself out there, finding love was very difficult. It was a journey. It's like when you first start dating people, you feel like you cannot take them serious. And sometimes because we are so covered in that hurt and we think about a lot of things, we forget maybe that person in front of us is a good guy, is a good person who wants to, make you happy with her, but we don't see that. That's why I say dating after divorce can be a little bit difficult. We just have to find peace first, inner peace, love ourselves again. And I think that, there's something wrong with us because clearly there isn't. Every woman is beautiful in their own way, and we have different ways of dealing things. And everybody to each his own, have a different way. But my way of coping was that time. I took on yoga, I took on a little bit of Zumba, and just trying to work it out on myself, taking care of my child. But it got to the point that my friends was like, Angelica, you've been single enough. You maybe should put your time out there. Maybe you find the right person. Maybe you don't. But you will not know if you don't take that first step. And this is when I started getting into online dating, and that was so difficult because there was something that I was not used to. It was a whole new territory for me. So that was different, especially it can be good and it can be bad because it has a good size and bad size of online dating. So trying to put yourself out there and just being honest and being like, hey, I do have a child and stuff. A lot of people, choose not to disclose that until the relationship is serious. But in my opinion, I think you should be upfront, especially for a prospective, person that might be in your life in a relationship. You don't want to catch a guy off guard and say, "Oh yeah, by the way, we've been dating for a while, so I have a child." So don't expect them to just accept it and be like, "Oh sure, whatever." No, it's good to know from the beginning because then that's how you know what the true intentions are. And I have known since I got older and more mature about things. Granted, I have made my mistakes while being single and everything. Everybody does. But once you start learning more about yourself and loving yourself more and knowing what you want and you don't, you just got to be more honest with yourself. You should put yourself out there. It's nothing wrong with dating. Put yourself out there. It might work, it might not work. So don't worry. There's always a person for someone, no matter how long it takes. So never get discouraged about being, by yourself. So, in my opinion, I feel like dating after divorce and falling in love after divorce, it is a process. It takes some time of healing. You want to make sure that you give yourself completely to that person, but it has to be the right person, and you got to make sure that you are completely and absolutely healed, because if you're not healed, no relationship is going to be fortunate, or it's going to last. It can end up in heartbreak. So always say, my opinion point is, always be true to yourself, love yourself, heal first. Look at the pros and cons, especially if you have children, the environment, and you try to find the perspective person, partner as well. You need to be a little bit vulnerable and, talk about it and just be honest straight up. This is how you know, and exactly how you know. And even if the person is okay with you having a child, I think women should take time before introducing the child to that person they're in a relationship with, because I feel like some people just do it too soon and it can be a downfall in the relationship. So don't introduce your children until you actually know for sure this is a serious relationship and this is going further than just the dating phase or whatever. So just be able you know, to make those decisions when the time is right. So give yourself time to date. It is a process to fall in love again. You may never fall in love again as you were before, but we are more than capable of loving someone. And every love is ever evolutionary. Every love is different with each person. Every experience is different. But open your heart to it. I know I did, but it took me a while. And yes, in between those times that it took a while, I dated. I'm not going to say I didn't. I got my heart broken, but I got up again because I'm a person who loves love and believe in love, and I know that one day I was gonna find the person that was for me. To this day, may not feel that I have, but I am in the relationship that I've been for the past 4 years. And before I got into this relationship, I was single for like almost 4 years. So it took me a while, even though I had been in a relationship before this. That relationship didn't work. It broke my heart. It took me a long time to recover the pieces, and it took more time, but this time around I was ready. I was actually ready, older, my daughter was older, and when I knew this relationship was going to be serious and it was something different, that's when I moved forward and did things differently. So my thoughts to you is, never give up on love. Falling in love is not easy. It's going to take some time. Heal first before you get into anything. Date. Don't take anything serious if you just want to date and get to know people. But don't offer yourself completely to someone if you're not sure about that person. So always have faith and trust that it'll work out. So you still have the possibility to find the biggest happiness after divorce and falling in love again. You just have to find yourself first and then put yourself out there. Until next time.